Hey everybody, hope you're doing well, staying safe in this crazy time. In this episode I sat down with COREY FORREST. Now this was the first ever Zoom chat that I've done for the podcast, but I'm pretty sure it's not going to be the last one that we do in this time. But hey, we're making the most of what we got, and yeah, it was still really good fun, and I think it was still a good conversation. I think it came across pretty well, even though it was not face to face, it was online. But yeah, in this chat I got to sit down with COREY FORREST. He's genuinely one of the nicest people I've ever met, I reckon. And I'm not just saying that, but I really believe that. He's just a really nice, gentle kind of dude. And he's also unbelievably smart. He's a doctor at the moment working in the NICU unit, which is pediatrics at the Goldcoast Hospital. I'm not sure if I said that correctly, but hey, he says it in the chat, so maybe I'll stand corrected. But yeah, it was a great chat. He has a great story. He shared some cool stuff about a trip that he went to in Nepal, and it was during that earthquake that happened, which was really crazy to hear that. But yeah, it was heaps of fun. I hope you enjoyed also. Stay safe, stay at home if that's what you can do, and don't forget to like and subscribe to this video, and as always, have a great day, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye guys. But yeah, thanks so much for coming on, man. It's great.
That's okay. It's
cool.
Amidst the busyness of work, there's not much else to do in life, so why not?
Especially for yourself. That's probably a good segue into it. You are a doctor, aren't you?
Yeah, up at the University Hospital on the Gold Coast. So I work in pediatrics up there.
So what's pediatrics? This is something that I've always wanted to know, but I've never Googled it, I don't think.
Yeah. So I guess one answer is it's the doctors that want to watch Disney films and make a career out of it, which is definitely me. Probably the more legit answer is it's your kids that come into hospital, usually up to about 16, that need to be admitted for something. So, really mild things like viruses up to your more severe infections and long-term problems. So
yeah, right.
You start seeing them from literally when they're born up until about 16.
Yeah, wow. Okay. So what made you want to get into that? That seems like a very specific kind of, well, not super specific, I guess, but
yeah.
it's different. Where did that kind of passion, I guess, to be a doctor, to help out young kids and people up to 16, where did that start?
Yeah, I think the reason I got into medicine from the start was I loved problem solving. I loved puzzles, and I loved, nutting out the little bits and pieces to try and work out where it all fits. And kind of that got me into medicine. I watched a lot of House as a kid, the really autistic doctor that's got no social skills. I watched that growing up, thought it was phenomenal. And so that kind of put me on the path. And then going in through medicine, the kid side of it was fascinating because you can't just scan every kid that runs in the door. You can't do tests as easily. Blood tests are a lot harder. So you have to do a lot more with a lot less information. So I loved that side of it, like the problem solving, the working it out, talking to them, listening to them, looking at them, seeing what, trying to put it all together into something. And then the other side of it was the family, the family dynamic I found really nice. The person you're treating is a sick person, but a lot of your talking you're doing with the parents who are there worried about their child. So it's a really nice dynamic.
Do you find that a lot of the not struggle but challenge is sometimes dealing with these legitimately concerned and worried parents, and sometimes it's more about calming those guys down than it is about the child's okay, but you've got to deal with the parents first.
Absolutely. It probably is one of both the hardest and most rewarding part of the job is convincing parents that their kid's okay. Parents are worried, they don't come to hospital unless they're worried. And a lot of the time, the kids are fine or, small problems. And part of the challenge is, trying to connect with them and help them feel like you do understand that they're really worried, but also get them to trust you. I love working with them and building trust. Trying to help them see that you're doing a good job, so they trust you with their child, which for a lot of them is their world.
Yeah, well, you can imagine it's understandable that they would be, concerned and upset as well. Like it's the most terrible nightmare thing you can imagine as a parent. I'm not a parent, but I can imagine that that's what it would be like. That's it's the thing that you never want to have to do, is take your child up to the hospital. So, especially when they come to see you, you're there to help, but also they just want things done as quick as possible, I imagine. That's cool. Yeah.
Someone pretty wise once told me, because I know you do it once you've done it for a while, you kind of fall into, same as everyone does, you fall into your job doing your standard 9 to,
becomes like routine.
But, and someone wise told me once, you got to remember that, this, for that person, it's the crappiest day of their life, hardest day of their life, scariest day of their life, whereas for us, it's, that's 10 a.m. So
it's just
be really careful not to,
It's just it's just your job. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's really interesting. So I was looking online to try and, do some research about you, and I couldn't find too much. There's not a lot out there, but I did find this really cool article, which, as you know, I had to kind of go, is this you? Like, not everything you find on the internet's usually true, but I found this article about you in Nepal. I'm guessing it was as a student doctor.
Yeah.
Tell me more. What was that about? Because that I briefly read it, and it seemed like a pretty cool experience. What was that about?
Yeah, it was amazing. So it was my last year of med school. So through med school, I did it for 6 years. You do placements all the way through, and in your final year, you can do a placement wherever you want in the world or in Australia, and it's completely up to you. So a lot of us decided to go, overseas. Some decided to visit specialties that I were interested in. I was really keen for mine, and had a group of friends I went with, but we were really keen to try and go to a third world country and see a bit of medicine that's not Western medicine. So we sat down. Initially, we were looking at South America, but there was a big coup on at the time, and everyone that we talked to said, maybe not a good idea.
Was that all the stuff that was going down in Colombia? Was that the Colombian one? Yeah, that was brutal.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was crazy. It was all at the same time, and we contacted all these companies that said, look, if we send you there, probably no hospital will be open.
It would be an experience, but probably not the experience you're looking for.
No. So we looked. The company we went with had some other placements, and one of them was Nepal, and we all thought that sounded amazing.
Pretty awesome.
So flew over and had just 6 weeks there. So it was a really nice long block, and kind of it was fun living as part of the country for that time, and going to work each day. And it was amazing. We went up to one of the weeks. We went up to a clinic up in the mountains, and it was an 8-hour bus ride up the mountain, and literally the bus was the fact that we came out the other end of that alive was amazing.
Yeah, it's crazy.
You're driving 30 centimeters from the edge of the cliff, and you can hear all the goats rattling around up on the top, and we get to there at the end of the 8 hours, and I think there would have been population 80 in this little town, but it was still one of the most beautiful places I've ever been. Like the just true subsistence living, and genuinely nice people who couldn't speak a bar of English, and we couldn't speak a bar of Nepali, so it was lots of smiles.
They're so happy to see you.
So we lived up there for a week and ran a little clinic with the help of some locals who had a bit of English.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it was so much fun. Nice to be a little bit of eye-opening for a different type of medicine, where we had one antibiotic that we could give literally for anything that walked through the door.
It's like that, like the Band-Aid, that'll give that a crack. Yeah, like Windex or whatever.
And if it didn't work, you gave some more.
Yeah. Give me 1 second. My thing just fell off my light, and it's like 1,000 suns hitting me in the face.
I was going to say you lit it like a Christmas tree.
One tick. This is the Zoom joys. Keep
Elevator
talking.
Music.
All right, we're back. That's a technical difficulty. One day I'll have an assistant who does that for me.
That was fun.
Yeah, that would have been incredible. And just, was there anything that you sort of took away? You know, like you say, it was a chance to experience Eastern medicine rather than what you kind of, you've done 6 years now of learning all about Western medicine. Was there something that you kind of took away from that and going, this can be applied into what I'm doing there? Or was it purely just going, gee, I'm so thankful for what we have in the Western world?
Yeah, a lot of it was just a real eye opener with how fortunate we are. There's so much corruption there. So literally, deciding on who got beds was a political issue, and so many people would just not be allocated a bed in the hospital and turned away because they had no money. Or like if you came in for surgery, they had to buy all the bits and pieces for their surgery. They brought it in little plastic bags and gave it to the surgeon who did the procedure. And like it was, their disposable gloves, they rinsed and rewore. And like,
man.
I'm not convinced they worked too well after 5 or 6 uses.
Wow.
But I guess what I took away was how genuine and kind people were. Like we stayed, particularly up in the village, but even in the main city, like we stayed with a family that couldn't speak English. We couldn't speak Nepali, but they, were just so open with their house and
that's incredible.
Showed us sights, took us for walks up hilltops. Like there was just such a generosity of person and time.
It's hard to
quite challenging.
Like obviously it would happen. There's people out there that would do it, but you wouldn't imagine that happening too much in where we are living. If you know what I mean? Like if there's somebody who spoke zero English, maybe if they were like coming and they had a skill that we really looked up to and needed, potentially, I guess, because that's the sort of circumstance. But we just like, oh no, we haven't got time for that. Sorry, too busy. So they just seem like a very welcoming people. I've heard that. I've heard that from people who climb, like people who do the Everest and stuff, where like there's a lot of those sort of camps and stuff they do in Nepal. And I remember reading it in a book, and she's like, this girl was like, these are the most like welcoming people I've ever met. So that's incredible.
Yeah, it was great. We found some local guides. The place we were staying at helped. They were kind of the company that did it. They also helped organise some fun stuff to do, and like we're just kind of the go-to guys. So that the guy that ran it literally was one of those guys that just know the guy. You want to do something, you'd be like, oh I know a guy. There was one day I got a dude for this, and there was one day we wanted to do this hike that it's about 20 k's long, and we thought that sounds great. In retrospect, I'm not sure it was great, but it was a long walk. But we there was this hike from one town to another, and the town we were coming from was apparently the best sunrise in Nepal, and the town we were going to was the best sunset, and apparently there was a path between the two, and we thought that's win-win.
Can't go wrong.
Why not? So we told this to the guy we were staying with. He's like, oh yeah, I got some guys who could walk with you. And then the next morning he told us, oh yeah, all set up for the weekend. And these two Nepali guys who actually did speak English, which was great. Took us on this trek and guided us through. And they said they didn't tell us how long it was. They said, not too long, which we quickly found out that in Nepali, in English, it would mean exceptionally long. This will take forever. Whereas in Nepal, it's like, oh, nah, short walk.
Easy.
Kilometers later, it was 8 hours. We walked, but it was amazing.
Experience though, hey.
Experience.
In hindsight, probably better than while you're doing it, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, I think if we'd known, maybe in hindsight, we wouldn't have packed as much in our backpacks. By the end of it, we were trying to work out what was essential, and maybe we could leave on the side of the road.
Jettison some weight.
Jettison some weight. Yeah.
And there was I read as well that while you were hiking somewhere, was it during the time that massive earthquake happened?
Yeah. Yeah, it was about 4 or 5 weeks into the trip. We'd literally gone out for a bike ride with this yoga group up on top of a mountain, and
as you do,
planned to have lunch up there, and as you do. Again, one of those things that we saw locally, and we thought, oh, that sounds fun. So we did that, and then while we were up there, I was sitting on this stone bench, and we'd just done a bit of sightseeing, sitting on this stone bench, middle of nowhere, and it started shaking a little bit. And so I looked down to see who else was on the bench and asked them to stop kicking it, because that's probably what I thought it was.
Yeah.
And then it got worse. Oh, this is a bit weird. And then out of there was this big temple off to the side, and out of nowhere, all the dust just came out of it. Oh, that's weird. And then literally it just went crazy. Like clearly the Nepali were more used to it, because they were all running before we'd realised what was going on, and then it got louder and louder in the ground below, because we were standing on this concrete, slate rock platform, and then out of nowhere it started cracking and falling down the mountain a bit, and the temple.
It's like a movie.
Started,
it's like Indiana Jones or something. Like I can imagine Indiana Jones when there's like the temple shaking and everything's sort of cracking. That would have been terrifying, right?
It was, and like the temple above us was swaying and cracking, and literally had it fallen over in our direction, we would have been done. Like there was literally nothing we could do. We just stood there in a group and huddled and prayed.
How long did it go for?
It was about 30 seconds, I think.
But it would have felt much longer.
It felt like a lifetime.
Yeah.
But and then we had I think there would have been about a minute break between that one and the next kind of big aftershock. And in the minute break, we sprinted up the hill and kind of got above all the structures.
Wow.
And then we'd ridden our bikes there. So once we had a couple of the aftershocks settled down, we rode back through Nepal on the bikes and got back to our accommodation, which thankfully was still together. But it's still one of those things. Yeah, I'll never forget riding back through the town and riding literally over people's houses, and watching ambulances run past and just throwing people in the back as quickly as they can.
Yeah, right. Wow. Okay, so you're right in the thick of it. Wow.
Yeah.
That's it. Did you because you were there as sort of doctors? Well, you're almost doctors, I guess. Did you kind of have to deal with any of that sort of stuff, like in the hospital you're working in?
They didn't actually let us. Once we were back in our accommodation, they didn't let us in because they said we couldn't speak English, and we would have probably just been more in the way than anything, which was it was heartbreaking. And one of those things you kind of look back on, and you're like, kind of sucks that we couldn't do a lot or anything.
But you can I guess, from their perspective, you can kind of get it, but in the moment you're thinking, what the heck, we've just been helping you guys. Oh, that's crazy. That's because that was that.
We stayed there for we had 5 or 6 days after the earthquake, where they cause we couldn't get out of the country because every time there was an aftershock, they shut the airport down.
Oh yeah.
So we couldn't fly. So we had 5 or 6 days of just literally living indoors, and every time there was a big because there were cracks all in our buildings. So every time there was an aftershock, we had to run outside and sit out in the lawn area in case the building came down.
So not the most relaxing 6 days.
No. I had by the first. I was there with the three other friends I was with. They I'm not sure how I ended up being the guy that looked out for the aftershocks, but somehow I ended up I didn't sleep a lot at night. I had a water bottle and I sat next to my bed, and the first thing you could tell if there was an aftershock was the water would start shaking.
Yeah.
So I'd be lying there all night watching it, and then it'd shake, and I'd get everyone up, would go outside, then we'd all run back inside and go to sleep.
Oh, man.
So I think I worked it out afterwards. I think in 6 days I slept for 5 hours or something, because we'd get up in the morning and I'd nap, and while they kind of
you're just on edge. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's crazy. What a trip, though.
I got onto the plane when we were leaving. I think I had a pill to help me sleep on the plane. I took it. I literally slept for about 12 hours straight.
Just gone.
I have no memory of any of the trip.
That's probably what you want, though, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah,
but it was still such an eye-opening trip, and I would go back in a heartbeat. Beautiful country.
Yeah, I've heard it's amazing. I've heard it, yeah, and it's apparently it's was super crowded with all the climbers though. It got to the point where I think it was last year where they had to start putting restrictions on people climbing because there was literal traffic jams of people trying to climb Mount Everest and stuff.
Yeah,
what the heck, guys?
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, that blows my mind. Mount Everest seems like a crazy thing to do, and for there to be traffic jams of people trying to get up and down the mountain
on Mount Everest. Yeah.
And lots of people were dying, which apparently, I saw in an article, they hadn't reported them, but there were a lot of people that were going there, paying a crap load of money to somebody and going, "Hey, here's a couple of $100,000 or whatever, take me up Mount Everest," and they hadn't conditioned themselves, they weren't experienced enough, and things like that. Yeah, that's crazy. Hey, you're a bit of a hiker, aren't you?
Yeah, to be honest, I would do Mount Everest. I reckon I'd be one of those people. I'd probably try and condition a bit, but I love hiking, and when life permits.
What do you love about hiking? Because hiking to me seems like a good idea because you see it in the photos, but then when I'm I think of the reality of hiking, where I'm like, oh, there's a lot of walking. That's what I think, but maybe I'm just super lazy. But what draws you to hiking? Do you think is it the destination or is it the journey? Well, that's very
deep.
Yeah.
I think I like I guess the journey and being able to go places that aren't somewhere that is straight off the road. Places that are a little bit more picturesque, a little bit more untouched. Nature and beauty, I think is nice, and I think just the quietness of a hike and the chance to think and be a bit more open,
like the solitude of it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Do you usually go with friends, or do you go with your wife? Is that how?
Yeah, usually Amelia is the one who I usually go with nowadays. Can't convince a lot of friends to come. Apparently, walking's not the favorite activity in the world.
No, that's what I mean. I don't think it is. I think we've all become too soft and lazy, myself included in this. But I love the idea of it. I just don't do it. But what's the coolest place besides Nepal that you've ever gone for a hike, do you reckon?
We went up Cradle Mountain in Tassie last year, and that probably was it was one of the most crazy hikes we've done because half the hike is steps and it wasn't that bad, but then the second half is all just rock scrambling up to the peak. And the day we did it, they had all these signs on the way in that say, if it's raining, don't climb. If it's foggy, don't climb. If it's 10 conditions, and we checked them all. It had been raining all week, and this day wasn't raining. So yes, this is it. We're walking up. Yeah, this was the middle of summer as well. So we're walking up, and it starts snowing. We're like, oh. Well, it wasn't. This snowing actually wasn't specifically on the list of exclusions. I guess we'll keep going.
Yeah, it's fine.
We doing this rock scrambling in the middle of summer with snow pouring down on us, thinking this is crazy. And we got to
snow snow doesn't make things slippery. What are you talking about?
Nah, not at all. It's different terrain.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is good because we had all our warm stuff with us. Because people had warned us it gets a bit cold, but we kind of wasn't really what we thought they meant.
No, I wasn't expecting snow.
It was amazing though. It's kind of the peak is one of the nicest places I've been. The views and the quietness, particularly when it's snowing.
Yeah, would have been amazing. Is that one of the highest? How high is that? What am I trying to say? We have some high-ish mountains in Australia. Is that one of the highest ones, or?
I think it is. I think the Blue Mountains might be higher, but I wouldn't quote me because that's probably very wrong.
Yeah. What's our highest one? Is it Mount Kosciuszko? Was that? No, maybe that's in South Africa.
So doctors have really good specific knowledge. My general trivia knowledge is abysmal. So I have no idea if it's in Australia or not.
Well, I'm the one asking the question, so I'm very similar.
I think Kosciuszko is in Japan. I probably should know that.
No, Kosciuszko is definitely. Mount Fuji's in Japan.
Is that Australia? Oh, yeah. Yeah, it is.
I need someone to Google stuff one day.
Yeah. Then you need your producer.
Yeah. The person who's also going to fix my light because I reckon it's going to fall.
Yeah.
As well. But anyway. So now you come back from Nepal, so that's your 6th year.
Yeah.
Student back into being a doctor. Do you reckon there was anything, was there something that when you first started getting into medicine to now, you're up now, this is your job. Was there a time where you were kind of like, oh man, they did not teach me this at medicine school? Like, is there a big takeaway that you've gone, this was not what I was expecting? Was there anything like that?
I think the first day, it was the time I realized that, this is real, I am in big trouble. Was like day one, med school prepared us really well. And I think clinically we were ready to go. But I think I got there on day one and the list of jobs I was given just was huge. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm in trouble. So I think the thing that I learned really quickly was time efficiency. Is probably something I need to sort out real quick.
Yeah.
And you get to the afternoon and they ask you how many jobs you've done, and if you haven't done them, not great.
Yeah.
And you kind of you go home when they're done. So if you want any semblance of life, you sorted it out pretty quick.
And I don't know much about the medical field besides what I've seen on Grey's Anatomy, which I'm told is 100% accurate to your life.
Definitely.
Yeah.
That's what my day-to-day life looks like. I've died 3 times.
That's exactly what I've Denny watched. I think she watched the whole thing, but she watched a fair bit of it. And I would kind of come down and go, "What are you watching this again?" And then I would kind of get sucked into the plot line as you do. And they just kept dying. Everyone just kept dying, or there'd be there were so many plane crashes or earthquakes or things that this, wherever this is. I think it's in Seattle. I'm never moving to Seattle. It's disaster central. Yeah. It's
I'm not sure how they do paperwork.
No.
They don't do a lot of it.
No. They just, all they seem to do is make out or sleep with each other in the little night shift thing or whatever. And that's about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's crazy. What were we talking about? Something about, the jobs. So you said I got given a list of jobs. From a person who doesn't know much about medical stuff, what's a job look like? Is it go and check this person's heart rate or something?
Yeah. So it was, you get there in the morning, and I started on a surgical rotation. That was my first job as an intern doctor. And the surgical team does a ward round 6 a.m. And then based on, what everyone's done overnight and what they're wanting to do, they have a list of things they want you to do during the day, and, blood tests or check results or talk to other teams and get their opinion or discharge or write scripts. And so you come out of the ward round with pencil scribbled all over a bit of paper, trying to, because they literally, and surgical rotations are crazy for it. They'll spend a small amount of time on each patient, and by the time you've opened up the computer and logged in, they're already halfway through their chat. So then you try and frantically write some notes on what they wanted you to do. And then you're on to the next patient. So you get to the end, you've got all this handwritten scribble, and you kind of hope they've got it all. And they just start cracking through.
Oh, that's crazy. And surgical rotation, I'm guessing, is people that have had surgeries done or are going to get surgery, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, wow. And so you have to go through all those different steps, don't you, before you become a specialist?
Yeah, so you do your intern year first, and then a residency, and through your intern and residency, you're sorting out what you want to do, and how you do that is just by rotating through everything. And they kind of give you a little bit of choice on where you rotate through. but also you're the grunt of the hospital, so you also go where you're told.
Yeah.
And do what you're told.
Yeah.
And then from there, you start to make decisions on what you like and dislike, and then you try and get onto a training program from there.
Yeah. Okay.
So I did a first couple of years in Brisbane at the PA, the Princess Alexandra, and then went from there to the Gold Coast and started training. So
do you live down the Gold Coast now? Like, if you work down there, it must be a fair drive.
Yeah. We live in Coomera, which is kind of halfway between, because next year I have to rotate back to Brisbane, so we're trying to live somewhere that I can commute each way.
So in the middle. Okay.
Yeah. But no, it's living on the Gold Coast has been amazing. Like it's just, you get all the benefits of Brisbane, but the benefits of living close to the beach as well.
Yeah.
You love it.
Yeah, because it's not that far to the beach at all from there, eh? Must be like 20 minutes, not even
15, 20 minutes. Yeah.
Oh, that's the dream for sure.
Yeah. No, that's so good. Moving back to Brisbane was something kind of we penciled in maybe for next year. But the more and more we think about it, like the commute doesn't look so bad when you kind of got the beach on your weekend.
Plus, it's not like you can really experience the beach at the moment. Like, so you kind of got to delay that time a bit, because you got to make the most of it before you move back.
Yeah.
Has this corona stuff, has that affected kind of your day-to-day stuff in pediatrics? Like, is that?
Yeah, bits and pieces. I think I'm up in NICU at the moment, so the neonatal ICU. So you're kind of first couple of weeks of baby.
Right. Wow.
So I think we kind of take all the ones that are born premature or born with medical problems and different things. So we up in, I think, the little NICU bubble, we actually haven't had too much, and a lot of the disruption to day to day has more been planning around what will happen when stuff does happen.
Yeah.
If it does.
Yeah. And is that planning just because they're expecting quite an inrush of patients, like an overloading kind of thing?
Yeah. So I think the whole hospital's doing it, just trying to work out how, if we get massive numbers all at once, how best we can provide good care to as many people as possible, and how to protect people that are just in hospital for your day-to-day stuff. Protect it from getting infected by something else. So a lot of NICU has been around that, and then working out how we would get babies in and out if they do, if we're worried they've got the coronavirus, without putting the other babies at risk.
Yes. So, like the kind of like the isolation, kind of putting up barriers to stop infection, that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Or transmission. I don't know anything about this stuff. I'm useless. I try and do my own research, but there's just so much like information coming at you at the moment with it anyway.
Yeah. It's once in a lifetime, hey?
Yeah, it's nuts. It is nuts when you start. And people were saying like, oh, it's once in a lifetime. And at the start, I was like, oh, whatever. Like, it's not that bad.
Yeah.
And then I was one of those people. And then the more and more you like look into it and you start like taking steps back and looking at kind of like the big picture of it, you're like, wow, this is like, there's a lot of people dying obviously around the world, which is awful, but just the fact that everything's kind of shut down, and it's not just Brisbane, Australia that's shut down, it's all around the world. That's like, that won't happen like again, like not in our lifetime. Yeah. Well, hopefully, fingers crossed, it doesn't happen.
Yeah. It's almost unbelievable, hey? Like the extent society has had to shut down. Like I think, and part of the problem was, I think in the last 5, 10 years, we've had a few medical epidemics come around, like the SARS and swine flu and Ebola, and which all were big problems and did result in a lot of deaths. But we, as a country, handled them all really well and almost saw minimal impact. So I think a lot of the problem was people in their mind still had those frameworks in where, this is a problem, but not really for us.
We can kind of just isolate ourselves, we'll be fine, but So
I think it's taken people a little bit of time to realize that this is a big deal, this one.
I watched a thing, I don't know, you've probably seen it, but apparently, I think 7 years ago or something, Bill Gates did like a TED talk on, where he talked about kind of the next big thing for the world will be exactly what's going on right now. Yeah. And I watched I watched like a follow-up with I think it was The Daily Show. So they're like a Comedy Central kind of show where they did a short 20-minute interview with him. And he was like, he had all these sort of things where he's like, not that the World Health Organization should just take my advice because I'm a tech billionaire, like I'm not a trained doctor. But there was all these different things that he pointed to that kind of, they said, as a organization, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, we advise, like, you guys should get on top of this because our data shows that this could happen, and just none of it was done really. Like, not to the extent that it probably should have been. Yeah. So it's definitely a wake-up call for sure. So
it is. And like, I think like even the supply chains for, for masks and for protective equipment and glasses and stuff, I think Australia was really prepared. Like, they do have huge stockpiles of protective equipment, but I think the reality of having a world that's shut down with all our supply chains broken is something that they had almost can't really plan for, but now is a big reality of trying to. They're talking to so many local businesses that already make other stuff, and are like, so can you try and make something different? Specifically a mask.
Well, like literally like an hour ago, my older brother texted me, sent me a message, and so he's got like a 3D printer, like just a little hobby one, and he's making now. He works for BP as a mechanical engineer. Like, he doesn't 3D print. He just 3D prints some like little car parts, and he made like a thing of the genie from Aladdin. Like, that's probably the extent. He'll hate me for saying that, but that's the extent of his like 3D printing. But he just texted me things saying he was printing out little, I think they're like the clips that go over like the surgical mask or something. So for $1, the company is giving him $1.50 for each one, and it takes like an hour and 60 minutes.
Yeah.
Hang on, that's 2 hours. An hour and 60 minutes. Yeah, 2 hours.
2 hours.
That's a better way of saying it. 2 hours to print each one. So he's not making much money on it, obviously. But, like, that's crazy. Like, that's similar to what happened back in the war, where they kind of like people just got said like, well, you're now helping to help build aircraft, or you're helping to build guns or ammunition or something. It's just a different kind of ammunition for a different kind of enemy, isn't it?
Yeah, different war.
Yeah. That blew me away. And he sent me an article that the ABC had put out, where apparently a lot of these companies have kind of said, if you've got a 3D printer at home, can you please start making these things? And they've open sourced all the files, I'm guessing, and you can load them in and print. Yeah, crazy. So I don't know how that. I don't know. I didn't actually respond to him, but I should. I'll have to ask him like how does he get them to the place? And let's start a business. Let's just start 3D printing everything.
It's a good time to buy a 3D printer.
Yeah, it surely is. Or a brewery. Have you seen that? Like, some of the breweries are making hand sanitizer or something. Yeah.
I was talking to one of my friends that works in pathology, like the testing labs and everything, and for them, sanitizing is a huge part of their job. And he was talking about the steps of what they do if they start to run out of sanitizer, and like literally the bottom step is buy vodka and use it.
Wow.
So like, if everything else falls apart, vodka.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's a good motto for a lot of things in life, isn't it?
It's a great last step, isn't it?
Yeah. I think that's on most people's last list of last steps. That's crazy.
You need the problem is you need about 60 to 70% alcohol for it to properly work. So
pretty hard.
Most of your vodkas are probably not really hitting it.
No, you need like moonshine or something, don't you? Like, isn't absinthe meant, like some of those absinthes are meant to be really super alcoholic? That's super. That's crazy. But it makes sense. Like, what else are they going to do? They've got to sterilize somehow.
Got to do something. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, that's super interesting. I used to work for a construction company. Well, I still do. I was working casual for them, but there's not much work at the moment. Hence why I'm talking to you on a what day is it? Monday afternoon. I've lost track of. I've lost track of what day it is because I'm at home 24/7 pretty much. And my boss, just as it kind of like started getting pretty crazy, whether people started panic buying, he called me up like 5:30 in the morning and said, I know you're meant to be going to this job, but my task for you today is I need you to go and buy hand sanitizer and face masks for all the guys. I spent all day. I got one of those little Dettol, like 50 ml bottles.
Yeah.
And it cost me like $8 from some night house somewhere. But I couldn't get it anywhere. It was crazy.
Yeah.
And that was like early on. Must have been only like a few days once it kind of all started happening. And I went into a couple of pharmacies and it was chaos in there. Like these people, I saw people getting yelled at, and one lady was just like covered in sweat. You could see she just run off her feet, like the poor lady at the counter. And she's like, everybody stop, shut up. I'm trying to do my job. Like, get in line and I'll get to you when I can. Because people were just like, do you have hand sanitizer? Do you have this? And I had to be like, I don't want to be that guy, but do you have any hand sanitizer? Felt pretty bad, but I tried to be like as nice as I could possibly be and be like, thank you for all that you're doing. I really appreciate it. I don't know if all these idiots do, but you're doing a good job. But I was. Sorry, you go.
Oh no, we literally had to take down a hand sanitizer at work because they kept going walkabout.
People were just pocketing it. I saw someone, I think it was somebody who worked for a hospital, got arrested because she was like stockpiling it all in her house and selling it or something. That's terrible.
It's terrible. We did get an email a couple of weeks ago being like, don't steal the sanitizer. Like, we have cameras.
Yeah. It's here for a reason. We don't have enough vodka. But I was calling, we thought, oh, hang on, well, we can't get hand sanitizer from all the stores. Let's be smart and we'll call like a wholesaler. I thought, man, this is a piece of cake. It's going to be so easy. I rang him up and you could tell that I was like her 500th call for the day. And she's like, what do you after hand sanitizer? Like, that's how she answered the phone. Like, not even a hello. And I was like, oh, yeah, I am. She's like, well, there's at least a month back order on them. I was like, oh, okay. And I said, I'll give someone else a call. And she's like, I wouldn't bother. Like, everybody else is exactly the same. I was like, So I had to call my boss and just be like, hey, I got you some hand sanitizer, but it's not enough for everybody.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why I don't have a job anymore. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like,
the funny thing is soap is literally better than hand sanitizer.
That's what I've heard. And it's really susceptible to heat. Like it dies really easy, the virus. Just use hot water and soap.
It breaks it down real easy. So like the whole 20-second hand wash thing is probably more than sufficient. But
have you seen those?
Sanitizer smells clean.
Yeah, exactly. I've seen, and also I think as a society as well, we're just obsessed. Well, some of us are, not so much me. Maybe I should be more obsessed with like sanitizing everything. Like, have you seen that? There was an ad for like Dettol or something with these tiny little kids in a playground, and when like on the monkey bars, and the kid's about to put his hands, and his friend goes, "Don't forget to put your hand sanitizer on." I never want my kid to be like that. And that kid is going to get sick. I can guarantee it.
Yeah.
It's fast. Yeah. Speaking of babies, have you watched? I don't know. You've probably been too busy. You've probably been a bit busier than I have been. But we watched this babies show on Netflix. So it's like a series. It's really cool. I guess it's like a documentary, but it's like a series, and then so I've only watched 2 episodes, I think, and so each episode talks about a specific thing with a baby, and then they like dig into the science. So one was like what like feeding, like what are the foods, and this sort of thing, and they talked about like how, and in that they were saying like it's actually you're doing your baby a disservice to sterilize everything and all this sort of thing, and they found that like babies that grew up with a dog in the household, the science shows that they're less likely to have like gut issues and stuff when they get older, because the bacteria they get immune to it. I'm guessing that's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, and like it's all pretty new research, so it's hard to know exactly. But they've shown that the more you interact with the world as a kid, the less sensitivities you have to your skin and your lungs and your gut. Rolling around
make
the mud
sense.
Probably is a great idea.
Yeah, that's what I remember when I was a kid, some of the stuff that we used to like eat and as kids who are probably too old to be doing that, because like, if you're a baby, you don't know that you shouldn't be eating this. But if I can clearly remember myself eating it, I was probably too old to be still doing that sort of thing. But I was a bit of a silly child. But I don't get sick very often. So, that's the science.
Science.
Yeah. I do have a hernia, but that's the different that's a different we don't talk about that.
We'll leave that there if you like.
Yeah, leave that out of the data. That's for sure. So what's your big sort of goals? So you're working in sort of is it NICU? You said neo.
Yeah, and NICU, so the neonatal intensive care unit.
Yeah.
So it's an ICU for babies.
Okay.
So
do you want to
there at the moment?
Do you want to continue with that, or like? So what's when you see yourself in 10 years? Do you kind of have this is what I want to specialize in?
Yeah, I love the baby side of it. So probably that's kind of where I'll angle towards. We all have to do general pediatrics training. So you get an idea of working with all the age groups, but then once you're further down the track, you can start to just sub-specialize down into the NICU side of it. But
what do you love so much about that? Like what draws you to it, do you reckon?
Yeah, you get the intensive care medicine is, it's really fascinating. It's, a lot of science, small little changes that make big changes down the track. You get to be involved in the birth process, and that first moment a family gets to have their kid, or the first moment where their kid's in big trouble, and you can help them out. I love that side of it, and they don't talk too much. It's great.
Yeah. So for that, I'm guessing it would be like it's all the communication is obviously through the parents. Like it's not about, it is obviously about the child, the baby. Like that's the main thing, but all your sort of comforting and making people feel like it's all under control is through the parents. So that's super interesting. It's so much more than just like having the head knowledge. It's all that relational stuff and everything like that. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's really like a lot of some of your patients are in and out pretty quickly, but a lot of them end up being like longer admissions, and you get to know the families, and they know you all by name, and you see them day in, day out, on good days and bad days, and it's really nice being able to build relationships with people and see them trust you to make decisions because they've watched you for however long.
The patients almost become like part of your sort of colleagues in a way, don't they? Like they're they're long term, wow. That would be super rewarding.
I was just joking the other day with one of my friends. I think I've got so many like family photos now around like the Gold Coast and lower end of Queensland that have like my hands in the bottom of them. So I'm gonna be that guy that down the track they talk about this exceptionally young looking 12-year-old doctor that they had up in NICU.
Yeah. Do you have that? Do you reckon? Like, have you had that much in your career where people have gone? Because you do not look as old as you are. Not that you're like old, obviously, but have you had where patients have gone, Are you old enough to do this? Do you reckon? Like,
yep.
Yeah,
regularly. Right. Particularly if I shave my beard off, I then spend the rest of the week deciding, what year med school I'm in, based on,
Or if you're just a patient in the children's hospital.
Yeah. So I mostly grew a beard to try and look slightly older.
Yeah. You almost did a little badge with like your date of birth or something on it.
Yeah. Particularly when I'll take like my residents around with me and the patients assume that they're kind of the decision maker and I'm just the note typer, which I don't mind. It's a bit of fun.
Yeah.
But no, definitely get a few of the questions about am I actually a qualified doctor?
Yeah, that's hilarious. That will serve you well, I guess.
It'll be great in like 10 to 20 years.
Yeah. It's just not so good when you're first starting out. Yeah, I know a couple of guys who are doctors, and one of them as well. He's so young looking, and he's like, no one takes me seriously. They all think like I'm a first year or something. I'm actually and I have like all the. He must be like 3 or 4 years into it. I think he's been a doctor, gone through all the steps. I think he's been a specialist now for like 4 or 5 years.
Yeah,
but he looks younger than you. Like he has like sandy, like blonde hair, can't grow like one bit of beard, and super short, and you're like, man, that sucks. And his voice is quite high as well, but he's super smart. Most of his job is just convincing people that he's an adult.
Yeah.
Always gets asked for ID.
Yeah. Oh, poor guy.
Oh, that's hilarious. Man, sounds like you're going good then. Sounds like you're in a good place with NICU. I keep saying that wrong. Yeah. NICU. And I guess this coronavirus thing has kind of stuffed up a lot of stuff, but once that hopefully sorts itself out and life can go back to somewhat normal, who knows what will happen, I guess. Hey, crazy.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting. I reckon it'll be fascinating to look back in 6 months and see what actually happened. Looking at places like Italy and Spain and China that are those couple of months ahead of us, like it's just phenomenal. Like Italy had 9,000 deaths in a day a couple of weeks ago, and like even trying to imagine that number.
So why is that? Like, obviously you probably don't know all about it, so it's not like an expert opinion necessarily, but why do you think that they're having so many people dying in a day? Like, what do you think from your knowledge?
I think there's a few reasons. I think part of it is the age of their population. They do have a very elderly population, and they all, the density of what people are living in is really close and quite high. And then they don't have the same luxury we have of having a border that we can really easily shut down. So I think for those reasons, they've really struggled to control the spread between people and the community transmission. Whereas a lot of because of the actions of the government and because of our geography, a lot of what we've been doing is controlling the entry into the country, whereas our community spread is thankfully still low.
Because we're just a big island. So if we can sort of shut down the border, and then anyone that has come across, put them in a room for 14 days or whatever, that kind of mitigates. The other thing that I heard about places like Europe as well is the amount of smoking that happens as well is still like really quite high, and they don't have the same sort of smoking laws. So you can just be sitting in a cafe and people are smoking. And so from what I understand, COVID-19 or whatever attacks the respiratory system. So if you're already compromised in that way and you're older, it's not looking too crash hot for you, is it? No.
Yeah. Look, I'm sure it doesn't help.
No. So that might be a contributing factor as well. I don't know.
Probably is, yeah.
Yeah. See, it's interesting. Hopefully, we don't get to that point, but it seems, from what I can tell, they seem to be starting to get it under control. But I guess they say as well, they're like, we're confident, but we don't know. We've never done this before. So only time will tell. But
no, it'll be a fascinating look back, and hopefully we can see good outcomes.
I'm interested to see. Like, so we've got all these restrictions on us now. How much they kind of get pushed back, like if it goes 100% back to normal, or if there's certain things where the government goes, you know what, we're just going to keep that in there as a precaution. But that's me getting a bit silly, conspiracy theorist. But
I don't know what they're going to do. It'll be hard to wind it back, because you're right. Do you just open the doors and say go forth, or
is there going to be a time where they're like, all right, go back to normal and we'll see what happens? And then whose fault is it if this virus comes back? Because one of the things that like Bill Gates kind of said was he doesn't see that happening until there's sort of a vaccine, until we can kind of vaccinate everybody, which that's a fair while away. I think that's not going to be 6 months.
Nah, it'll be, and like the issue is we're coming into winter as well, so it'll be the time of year when everyone's sick anyway. So it's going to be, I think we'll get through winter, and then I reckon on the other side they'll probably start to relax, in my very junior and non-expert opinion. But
man, I'm writing it down. I'm tweeting it out.
Tweeting it out. Restrictions off in 6 months.
Yeah. Corey Forrest. You heard it here first on the podcast. I don't have Twitter, but I'm going to get it just for that purpose.
I reckon winter will be tricky, because it'll be a whole time of everyone getting sick with all the stuff they usually get sick with, and trying to work out what's COVID and what's influenza and what's just a standard cold. And same for us health workers. We get sick every year, especially working with kids. So we're all going to be off getting swabbed and waiting for swab results.
Well, that's what I sort of, even when I was working, we would have guys kind of rock up, and there'd be like one sneeze or one cough. Everyone's like, get away from me. And he's like, look, I've just got hay fever. Like, even I rocked up one day and I was just sneezing like crazy. And that's not even sort of one of the symptoms of the virus. I'm pretty sure it's more of the cough. And I just had to spend the whole day convincing the guys. We're working in a place, because we were like pulling tiles up on a floor. With the dust. I'm like, it's a dusty environment. I've got hay fever. I haven't got corona. And they're like, you should go and check. So I didn't get it checked, but I haven't had anything happen to me.
It went away, but it's probably okay.
Yeah, maybe it went to like 20 people. I don't know. No, I didn't have it. Shouldn't joke about that. It's a touchy subject. Anyway, this has been good fun. I'm just thinking. My internet. I'm just thinking, for some reason, all of a sudden it's all started slowing down. So maybe everybody's started watching Netflix or something. So
maybe they're all watching the podcast.
Now we're talking. That's true. Well, it's not going live, so I'm going to tell.
Okay, so probably not.
Probably not. But I do like the idea of that, so I'm going to hold on to that as a future thing. I'm going to manifest that, as they say. That's the new age speak, I think. But anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway, now I'm talking crap. So that's usually that's a good sign to wrap this thing up. But man, it's been fun chatting to you. This has been our first Zoom chat, so I think it's been somewhat successful. I'm sure.
Yeah, it's been good.
I'm sure we'll hear from the viewers.
It's fascinating that we've got all these programs that literally no one knew about a week ago.
No, I'd never heard of Zoom. And I'm sure I know it's been around. I know, like, it's not new, but it's like everywhere you look, someone's talking about Zoom. What the heck is this program? Like we were saying, like just before, like their stock, before we started recording, their stock has just skyrocketed, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, crazy. Anyway.
They're probably off trying to buy servers.
Yeah, they're going to be like devastated when they're not going to be devastated when there's a vaccine, but they won't have as many people using their platform.
No.
I have to be careful what I say. I always make these very inappropriate jokes. They sound great in my head and are probably fine when I'm just talking one-on-one with people, but then I'm like, oh, people are going to watch this. They're not going to like that sometimes. So anyway, there's a balance. So I don't want it to be too much about shock value. But anyway, we're going to wrap it up. Let's do that. Yeah. Thanks so much, man. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on. And thank you, everybody, for listening to Corey's story. It's been great. And we'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye, everybody.